So we're bombing Iraq again. It might even be the right thing to do. Iraqi Kurdistan is in danger, and it's the only halfway decent thing we've built in our 24 years in the country. We do owe the Kurds. It's hard to say how this will end, but as we embark on our third war in Iraq, we should take a moment to point out just how insane all of this is. The U.S. military is currently bombing U.S. military equipment operated by the Islamic State. This isn't the first time this has happened in Iraq. When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait in 1990, he did so with an army paid for and equipped by the U.S. and its allies. When he failed to defend Baghdad in 2003, he was still using the military we paid for. This is not how wars in the Third World are supposed to go. When a great power gets bogged down somewhere, it's usually because they are fighting a proxy war against somebody else. In Vietnam, we were fighting a proxy war against the Russians and the Chinese. When the USSR was in Afghanistan in the 1980s, they were fighting a proxy war against us. And that's the weird and deeply sad thing about Iraq. For the past 24 years, the United States has been fighting a proxy war against the United States. In the 1980s, we helped Saddam Hussein fight Iran, a country with 3 times as many people as Iraq. We only directly sold him about $200 million worth of helicopters, but tens of billions of dollars from our allies in the Gulf kept the Iran-Iraq war going for 8 horrific years. We also provided diplomatic cover for Saddam's use of chemical weapons against Iranian and Kurdish civilian populations. Remember how I said we owe the Kurds? Over 1 million people died in the Iran-Iraq war. Despite the best efforts of the US and our allies, Saddam failed completely in his ambition to take Iranian territory. He then shifted his focus to Kuwait. We know how that went.
Iraq will not be permitted to annex Kuwait. And that's not a threat, it's not a boast, it's just the way it's going to be.
After kicking Saddam out of Kuwait, we spent the next decade using various excuses to blow up pieces of the military machine we had paid for. In 2003, we went in and blew up the rest of it. We then set up a new government and built it a brand new military machine. The whole production from 2003 to 2011 is estimated to have cost us over $1 trillion and over 4,000 American lives. In June of this year, we learned what all that blood and treasure bought us. The well-paid, trained, and superbly equipped Iraqi army turned tail and ran away from the jihadists of the Islamic State. They left behind the weapons that IS is currently using to fight the Kurds. The weapons that we paid for. The weapons that we are now bombing. Iraq has been a horror show for almost 25 years, and it sometimes presents compelling reasons for intervention. It is important to remember, however, that the killing that compels us to intervene is almost always done with equipment that we have paid for. Our proxy war against the United States continues. Some might see a sinister conspiracy here. The defense contractors have certainly taken advantage. Iraq has become a massive showcase for generations of military technology. But blaming it on the defense contractors and their henchmen gives them too much credit. They aren't that evil or clever. It's more stupidity and a failure of imagination. After 70 years of cold warring, creating over-armed military problems is all Washington, D.C. knows how to do. Incredibly, we're still letting them do it. The United States is becoming more and more involved with unstable African countries. Arms manufacturers from the US and its allies are shipping out boatloads of weapons. We are letting Washington, D.C. assemble the building blocks of a dozen new Iraqs. We need to stop them before they drag us into another endless war against ourselves. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And for your viewing pleasure, here's George Bush in 1990, pretending to be Woodrow Wilson.
Clearly, no longer can a dictator count on East-West confrontation to stymie concerted United Nations action against aggression. A new partnership of nations has begun. And we stand today at a unique and extraordinary moment. The crisis in the Persian Gulf, as grave as it is, also offers a rare opportunity to move toward an historic period of cooperation. Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror, stronger in the pursuit of justice, and more secure in the quest for peace. An era in which the nations of the world, East and West, North and South, can prosper and live in harmony. 100 generations have searched for this elusive path to peace, while 1,000 wars raged across the span of human endeavor. And today that new world is struggling to be born. A world quite different from the one we've known. A world where the rule of law supplants the rule of the jungle. A world in which nations recognize the shared responsibility for freedom and justice. A world where the strong respect the rights of the weak. This is the vision that I shared with President Gorbachev in Helsinki. He and other leaders from Europe, the Gulf, and around the world understand that how we manage this crisis today could shape the future for generations to come.